What if I told you that Chinese households have been using their rice cookers to do things that most Americans haven't even thought of? And I'm not talking about just making rice. I'm talking about full meals, desserts, breads, and life hacks that will completely change the way you look at that appliance sitting on your counter. Today, we're counting down 31 of the most clever rice cooker tricks that Chinese people have been quietly using for decades. And trust me, by the time we get to number 1, you're going to want to run to your kitchen and try it immediately. Let's go. Number 31. Making the fluffiest scrambled eggs you have ever had. I know this sounds bizarre, but hear me out. Crack 3 to 4 eggs into your rice cooker pot, add a splash of milk, a pinch of salt, and a small knob of butter. Then whisk everything together right inside the pot. Close the lid and press cook. Here is the important part. You need to open the lid and gently stir every 2 minutes. The gentle, indirect heat from the rice cooker cooks the eggs at a much lower and more consistent temperature than a direct flame would. The result is incredibly soft, incredibly creamy scrambled eggs that are absolutely impossible to overcook because the cooker shuts off automatically. Chinese home cooks use this method when making breakfast for the whole family while simultaneously preparing other dishes because it genuinely requires almost zero attention. Number 30. Cooking oatmeal overnight without burning it. Set your rice cooker to its warm setting before you go to bed. Add 1 cup of rolled oats, 3 cups of water, a pinch of salt, and whatever toppings you like into the pot. In the morning, you will have perfectly cooked, creamy oatmeal waiting for you. The warm setting maintains a temperature that is just high enough to slowly cook the oats throughout the night without burning them to the bottom. This is a technique that Chinese families adapted from congee making, which we will get to later, and it saves enormous amounts of morning time. The low sustained heat breaks down the oats into a wonderfully creamy consistency that you simply cannot replicate by rushing through it on the stovetop. Number 29. Make steamed fish that tastes like it came from a restaurant. Season your fish fillet with soy sauce, sesame oil, a little ginger, and green onion. Wrap it in foil or place it on a heat-proof plate that fits inside your rice cooker. Add water to the bottom. Place the plate on the steaming rack and cook for 10 to 15 minutes depending on thickness. Chinese cooking relies heavily on steaming fish because it locks in moisture and flavor without drying out the protein. The result is flaky, tender fish that absorbs every bit of seasoning you put on it. Number 28. Bake a simple cake inside your rice cooker. This one surprises Americans every single time. Mix your favorite simple cake batter. Pour it into your lightly greased rice cooker bowl and press the cook button. When the button pops to warm, press it back down again and repeat this 2 or 3 times over about 40 minutes. The bottom gets beautifully golden while the inside steams and sets. Chinese people have been making sponge cakes and simple chocolate cakes this way in tiny apartments without ever touching an oven. It works because the rice cooker generates consistent heat from below while trapping steam to cook the top. Number 27. Reheating leftover pizza without making it soggy. This might be the most American application on the entire list. Place 1 or 2 slices of pizza on the steamer rack above a small amount of water. Close the lid and run the rice cooker for 3 to 4 minutes on the cook setting. The gentle steam reheats the pizza from all sides without burning the bottom crust and without turning the cheese into a rubbery disaster the way the microwave does. The crust stays reasonably crisp while the cheese melts evenly and the toppings heat through gently. Once you try this method, you will never microwave leftover pizza again. Number 26. Steam vegetables while your rice cooks at the same time. Toss your broccoli, carrots, bok choy, snap peas, or any vegetable combination onto the steamer rack above water and run the cook cycle for 4 to 6 minutes. Chinese cooking philosophy has always emphasized the importance of preserving the nutrients within vegetables, and steaming is the method that scientific research consistently confirms retains the most vitamins and minerals compared to boiling or frying. When you steam in a rice cooker, The sealed environment means that water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C and B vitamins that would normally leach into boiling water instead stay within the vegetable itself. This is not just clever, it is genuinely healthier. Number 25. Cooking congee or rice porridge to silky perfection. Congee is perhaps one of the most important comfort foods in Chinese culture, and it is something that most Americans have never tried but absolutely should. Add 1 cup of jasmine rice to 5 or 6 cups of water or chicken broth in your rice cooker. Add sliced ginger, a little salt, and press cook. When it finishes, stir vigorously and press cook again. Repeat this process 2 or 3 times until the rice is completely broken down into a thick, silky, porridge-like consistency. Top it with green onions, a soft boiled egg, a drizzle of soy sauce, and white pepper. It is one of the most soothing, most satisfying meals you can make, and the rice cooker does essentially all of the work. Number 24. Cook quinoa perfectly every time with no guesswork. Use the same ratio you would for rice, 1 cup of quinoa to 1.5 cups of water, and let the rice cooker do its thing. The rice cooker senses when the liquid has been absorbed and switches off automatically, which means you will never get mushy or undercooked quinoa again. Many Chinese households have adapted their rice cookers to cook all kinds of grains, not just rice, because the technology works the same way for any grain that requires water absorption. Number 23. Steamed dumplings or bio buns without a bamboo steamer. If you have store-bought or homemade dumplings or bao, place them on a piece of parchment paper on your steaming rack. Make sure there is enough water in the bottom and hit cook. They come out just as good as if you used a traditional bamboo steamer. Chinese people use this method when they are reheating leftovers or when they do not have a proper steamer setup. The steam produced is consistent and thorough, so the dough stays soft and the filling heats all the way through without drying out. Number 22. Infuse your rice with flavor by cooking it in broth or coconut milk. Instead of plain water, use chicken broth, vegetable broth, or canned coconut milk to cook your rice. Chinese people do this all the time to elevate a simple bowl of rice into something that can stand on its own as a dish. Coconut rice is a classic alongside Thai and Southeast Asian-influenced Chinese dishes. The starch in the rice absorbs whatever liquid you use, so every single grain gets fully infused with that flavor. It requires 0 extra effort for a massive flavor upgrade. Number 21. Hard-boiled eggs in bulk for meal prep. If you need a dozen hard-boiled eggs for the week, line them up on your steaming rack with water below and cook them all at once. The consistent steam means every egg cooks evenly regardless of where it sits in the cooker. Chinese families preparing for large gatherings or weekly meal prep use this method constantly because it is hands-off and reliable. Once done, transfer them to an ice bath and you are set for the week. Number 20. Make a simple but delicious soy sauce chicken. Place bone-in chicken thighs into the rice cooker bowl. Mix together soy sauce, oyster sauce, a little sugar, garlic, and ginger, and pour it over the chicken. Add just a 1/4 cup of water and press cook. The chicken braises in its own juices and the sauce reduces into something deeply savory and glossy. This is a simplified version of a dish Chinese people call Si Yao Gai, and it is one of the most popular weeknight meals in Chinese households because it requires almost no active cooking time. Number 19. Use your rice cooker to make soft tofu pudding, which is a classic Chinese breakfast. Mix silken tofu with a little sugar syrup or ginger syrup and let it warm in the rice cooker on the warm setting. This dish, called dufu fe, is sold on streets all across China every single morning. Making it at home in the rice cooker means you always have a warm, protein-rich, incredibly soothing breakfast without any complicated technique. Number 18. Steam sweet potatoes for a naturally sweet, caramelized snack. Place whole small sweet potatoes directly on your steaming rack. Add water and cook. Sweet potatoes become incredibly tender and develop a natural sweetness from the steaming process that is different from roasting. Chinese people eat steamed sweet potatoes as a snack, a side dish, and even a dessert ingredient. The steam brings out sugars in the potato in a way that makes them taste almost like they have been lightly sweetened without adding anything. Number 17. Cook pasta in your rice cooker for a completely hands-off meal. Add your pasta, cover it with water about 2 inches above the pasta level, add a pinch of salt, and press cook. Check it partway through and stir once if you can. The pasta absorbs the water and becomes perfectly al dente. This is a kitchen hack that many Chinese college students have been doing for years in dorms and small apartments where stove access is limited. Once the pasta is done, drain any excess water and add your sauce directly to the bowl. Number 16. Make a steamed egg custard called Zheng Dan that melts in your mouth. Beat 2 eggs with 1.5 times the volume of warm water or broth. Add a pinch of salt and a small splash of soy sauce. Pour the mixture through a strainer into a heat-proof bowl. Cover it with plastic wrap and steam it in your rice cooker with water below for about 12 minutes. The result is a silky, smooth custard that Chinese families eat as a side dish with rice. The key is the straining step, which removes any air bubbles, and the gentle steam heat, which sets the custard without scrambling it. Number 15. Cook lentils without soaking them overnight. Add red lentils and water in a 2-to-1 ratio, press cook, and you are done in about 20 minutes. Red lentils do not require soaking, and the rice cooker handles them beautifully because the internal heat builds up enough to cook them through completely. This is a great hack for anyone trying to eat more plant-based protein. Top with a simple seasoning, and you have a high-protein meal component ready without any planning. I've previously shared how you can make a cake with a rice cooker, but this one's different. Number 14. Cooking cheesecake using the water bath method. Prepare your standard cheesecake batter. Pour it into a lightly greased rice cooker pot and cook using the standard cycle repeated 2 to 3 times until the center is just barely set with a slight jiggle. The rice cooker acts as a natural water bath because its heat source comes from the bottom and sides rather than from above, which is the exact environment that a traditional water bath provides in an oven. This prevents the cracking and rubbery texture that plagues oven-baked cheesecakes. Chinese home bakers have been perfecting this technique for years, and the results are absolutely stunning. And since we're talking desserts, here's another one. Number 13. Use your rice cooker to make black sesame soup, a warming Chinese dessert. Blend black sesame seeds with water until smooth, then pour the mixture into your rice cooker with a little sugar and let it heat on the cook setting, stirring once or twice. This dessert, called Heiji Mahu, is sweet, nutty, and deeply nourishing. Black sesame seeds are considered by Chinese culture to be incredibly good for hair health and kidney function. Making it in the rice cooker keeps it at exactly the right temperature without any risk of scorching. Number 12. Proof bread dough in your rice cooker. Place your kneaded bread dough in the lightly oiled rice cooker bowl, press the warm setting, leave the lid on, and let it sit for 30 to 45 minutes. The gentle warmth creates the perfect proofing environment. Dough that would take 2 hours to rise at room temperature rises beautifully in under an hour in a rice cooker. This trick is especially useful in winter when kitchens are cold and dough takes forever to proof on the counter. Number 11. Cook a complete pot roast with minimal effort. Season a small beef chuck roast with salt, pepper, garlic, and soy sauce. Place it in your rice cooker with onions, carrots, and just half a cup of beef broth. Press cook and let it run through multiple cook cycles, pressing the button back down each time it switches to warm. Over about 90 minutes this way, the beef becomes incredibly tender, and the vegetables soak up all the savory juices. This trick combines the Chinese method of braising with the convenience of the rice cooker. Number 10. Make homemade yogurt overnight using just the warm setting. Heat your milk separately until it reaches about 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Let it cool to around 110 degrees, then stir in a few tablespoons of plain yogurt with active cultures as your starter. Pour this into your rice cooker bowl, close the lid, set it on warm, and leave it for 8 hours. By morning, you have thick, creamy homemade yogurt. The warm setting holds the temperature perfectly stable, which is exactly what the yogurt cultures need to multiply and thicken the milk. Number 9. Using your rice cooker as a slow cooker for soups and stews. Chinese families make soups in their rice cookers constantly, and it is genuinely one of the most versatile applications of this appliance. Add your meat, vegetables, aromatics, and broth to the pot. Press cook to bring it to a boil, then switch to warm and leave it for 4 to 6 hours. You will get a deeply developed, complex, slow-cooked flavor without needing a separate slow cooker appliance. The gentle warm setting is equivalent to the low setting on a slow cooker and produces meltingly tender meat and beautifully integrated flavors. This is how Chinese grandmothers make their legendary soups. Number 8. Cook polenta or grits without constant stirring. Add your cornmeal and water in the appropriate ratio. Give it one good stir, close the lid, and let the rice cooker do its thing. The consistent bottom heat and trapped steam cook the cornmeal evenly without you standing over a pot stirring for 30 minutes. Chinese cooks who have experimented with Western ingredients quickly discovered that the rice cooker handles any starchy grain brilliantly. Finish with butter and cheese and you have a perfect side dish. Number 7. Make a steamed meatloaf that stays incredibly moist. Mix your ground meat with seasoning, press it into a loaf shape in the rice cooker bowl, and cook. The steam environment means the meatloaf never dries out the way it can in an oven. Chinese families often make a version of this with ground pork mixed with water chestnuts, soy sauce, and ginger, called zheng ru bing, or steamed pork patty, and it is one of the most popular weeknight dishes because it is fast, cheap, and incredibly juicy. Number 6. Cook dried beans without soaking. Add your dried beans, cover with water by at least 2 inches, and run through 2 or 3 full cook cycles. The rice cooker builds up enough heat and pressure inside to cook even dried chickpeas and black beans without any pre-soaking. This saves hours of prep time and is a trick that practical Chinese cooks figured out as a way to make legumes more accessible on busy days. Number 5. Make a whole steamed chicken that is tender, juicy, and deeply flavorful. Season a whole small chicken inside and out with salt, white pepper, ginger, and soy sauce. Place it in your rice cooker with just enough water to barely cover the bottom, and cook through multiple cycles until the internal temperature reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit. The enclosed environment circulates steam constantly, cooking the chicken in its own juices. Chinese people have been making whole steamed chickens for special occasions and everyday dinners alike because steaming preserves the natural flavor of the chicken in a way that roasting simply cannot. Number 4. Use your rice cooker to make mango sticky rice, the beloved Southeast Asian dessert popular across Chinese food culture. Cook glutinous rice in a mixture of coconut milk and a pinch of salt. While it finishes on warm, slice fresh mango and prepare a warm coconut cream sauce with sugar. Serve the sticky rice topped with mango and drizzled with that coconut cream. The rice cooker makes the glutinous rice perfectly sticky and infused with coconut without any risk of burning at the bottom of a pot. Number 3. Make the most perfect steamed sponge cake called Malai Go. Beat eggs with sugar until very fluffy, fold in flour, baking powder, and melted butter. Then pour into your lightly greased rice cooker bowl lined with parchment paper. Press cook and repeat cycles as needed for about 40 minutes. The result is a soft, bouncy, golden sponge cake with a springy texture that Chinese dim sum restaurants charge a premium for. The rice cooker creates the perfect steamy atmosphere that gives this cake its distinctive light and airy crumb. Number 2. Cook a complete one-pot Chinese-style braised pork belly or hong shao roo. Brown your pork belly pieces quickly in a separate pan, then transfer them to the rice cooker with soy sauce. Dark soy sauce, Shaoxing rice wine, sugar, garlic, and star anise. Add just enough water to come halfway up the pork and run multiple cook cycles for about an hour and a half total. The pork becomes melt-in-your-mouth tender. The fat renders down into something silky, and the sauce reduces into a deeply rich mahogany glaze that coats every single piece. This is one of the most iconic dishes in all of Chinese cooking, and making it in a rice cooker is genuinely a game changer because you get restaurant-quality results without constant monitoring. And here we are at number 1. Using your rice cooker to make clay pot rice, the most famous Chinese comfort dish in existence. This is something that nearly every Chinese family makes and that most Americans have never tasted, and it will absolutely change the way you feel about your rice cooker forever. Here is exactly how to do it. Rinse your rice and add it to the rice cooker with the appropriate amount of water. On top of the uncooked rice, arrange marinated chicken thigh pieces, sliced Chinese sausage, sliced shiitake mushrooms, and sliced ginger. Make a simple sauce of soy sauce, oyster sauce, sesame oil, and a tiny pinch of sugar, and drizzle it over everything in the pot. Press cook, and do not open the lid until the cycle is completely finished. The rice cooks underneath while simultaneously steaming the toppings above, and the sauce drips down into the rice as the toppings cook, infusing every single grain with extraordinary flavor. During the last 2 minutes of cooking, pour an additional tablespoon of soy sauce and sesame oil down the inside edge of the pot. This creates a slightly caramelized, crispy rice crust on the bottom called guo bai, which the Chinese consider the most prized part of the entire dish. It is smoky, it is savory, it is crispy, and it is unlike anything you have ever tasted from a rice cooker. Go make this tonight. Your entire family will be talking about it tomorrow. If you tried any of these hacks, drop a comment below and tell me which one surprised you the most. And if you want more genius kitchen secrets from around the world, make sure you subscribe because we have so much more coming that you do not want to miss.